All right, welcome everyone to the second day of the LH Accelerator Demo Week 2020. We are super excited to have you with us for another 2 days of discussion on innovation in the construction industry. My name is Jules Besnainu. I'm a director at Cleantech Group, and I will be your moderator for this session. So for those of you who haven't been involved with the LH Accelerator yet, this demo week represents really the end of the support journey for the 12 companies that were selected for the second season of the Accelerator. It's a critical week during which they'll be able to showcase their innovation and all the work that they accomplished during the acceleration. It's also a key moment for the innovation communities at Sika, LH, and CCCC. And so before going any further, I'd like to introduce Sandra Boivin, who leads the LH Accelerator Initiative, to tell you a few words about the program and about the event we're going to have today. Welcome, Sandra.
Thank you, Jules. And hello to everyone. So welcome to this demo week, which marks the end of the second season of the LH Accelerator. So for those not familiar with the program, it has been launched by LafargeHolcim in partnership with Sika and CCCC to create new business opportunities with the best innovative companies in our sector. So this program is quite unique for several reasons. First of all, the presence of 3 international corporate companies. This is a key asset for the startups to address diverse business opportunities across the construction value chain. Then the commitment of countries in our operations. From the very identification of challenges to the execution of the acceleration plans, you will see in the innovator session later on that our country operational teams have worked hand in hand with the startups. You see here the countries involved from the start, but additional ones joined in later on, like Australia, for example. Finally, expert mobilization from our R&D centers and access to the lab and to the prototyping facilities is a key differentiator of the program. 12 startups have been selected for season 2 from more than 300 applications. They come from Israel, Canada, Germany, France, the Netherlands, Denmark, Sweden. And they have skills and solutions in the field of material science, AI, robotics, sensors, decarbonization, circular economy. We had the pleasure, so next slide, please. We had the pleasure and still the possibility at the time to kickstart season 2 with the sprint days. So you see here some key numbers out of this event. Since then, the second season had to adjust to the COVID-19 situation and to remain flexible despite country lockdowns and travel bans to carry out the 12 acceleration plans that you see here in this slide. Thank you all participants from the startups, from the corporate, for your flexibility, your creativity, and your resilience in these difficult times. Now, a few words about the demo week. We organized the presentation of the program outcomes and the discussions around 3 focus areas. The future of concrete was covered yesterday. Today, we will discuss about the new opportunities brought by IoT, robotics, and AI. And finally, tomorrow, we will dedicate the session to decarbonization and circular economy. Very important topic for the construction industry, as you all know. I encourage you to join tomorrow as well, because we will have also exciting projects tomorrow to be shared. And for those who are not able to join yesterday, we will put all the video recordings of the session on the Wova platform. So Julia will let you know about this part. So without further delay, let's introduce the topic of the day. So it's about IoT, robotics, and AI, new frontiers and new opportunities for construction. So the call for application we opened for this challenge was covering many expectations dealing with real-time quality control, predictive analytics, automation, sensors, BIM. So we know that in this fast evolving digital era, we know that the construction has still a lot to catch up. And seen from a different angle, it's also a wealth of opportunities for the startups with relevant technology for rapid scale-up. So I let you now discover the agenda of the day, but before that, I would like to thank very much our experts. So Max Tuchenhalder from ABB and Kevin Delisi from Google, who accepted to set the scene today with inspirational insights. So I welcome you all and have a great session. Thank you.
All right. Welcome, Sandra. Sorry. Thank you, Sandra, for this introduction. So here's how we're going to spend the next 2 hours. We'll start with a roundtable during which our two experts will bring us their vision on how enabling technologies like IoT, like AI and robotics are shaping the future of construction. We'll then hear short presentations from our 4 presenting companies today and how they went through the accelerator program and the work that they developed during that program. After a short Q&A session for both our speakers and the companies presenting, we'll start the innovator demo rooms. So these are separate rooms in which you will be able to log in, where our 4 companies will be in 4 separate rooms. And during 30 minutes, they will present the work they completed during the accelerator and answer all your questions. It's an interactive setting in which you can get to know them better and really try to understand their business and how it could apply to your work as well. These innovator rooms will happen twice, so we'll have 2 times 30 minutes, allowing you to choose 2 of the 4 to really dive with. So we chose to host this virtual event on the Whova platform, really allowing you for more interaction. We hope that you will have a very active day in front of your screen like you would at an in-person event. And so to start this session on an interactive footing, I'd like to welcome my colleague Alban Jourda, who is one of the coordinators of the LH Accelerator and who has the first question for you. Welcome, Alban.
Thanks, Jules, and welcome everyone to the LH Accelerator. I'm very pleased to be here today. I'm going to spend my time in this session encouraging you all to become active in this chat, as well as listening to our great speakers. To start off, I'd like to find out where you are all on the learning curve of this particular subject. Minimum, give me a number, 1, 2, 3, or 4. To represent your answer to the following question on the screen. So the topics of the day and the question of the day is, where do you believe artificial intelligence has the most potential in the construction? So you have 4 possibilities. The first one is improving the efficiency and sustainability of concrete production and transport. Second one is more turned to predictive maintenance of construction equipment. Third option, improving the design of building and the tracking and inspection of construction projects. Or the last option is other. So feel free to name it and go on the chat, and we are looking for your suggestion. Feel free to elaborate and add some colors as part of introducing yourselves to the others here live with us right now. Thanks a lot.
All right, so we'll start to see kind of how the responses come in to the chat. I will say to our audience, the chat is the way we communicate during this session. So it's also your opportunity to ask questions to our speakers. Please use it. Feel free to introduce yourself. Feel free to ask questions to others and start discussions. The more interactive and the more fun the session, the more instructive as well. So while we wait for some of the responses to come in, I'd like to introduce René Beischli, who represents Sika in the accelerator, to offer us some context on this topic. René, can you tell us why these kind of new technologies are strategic for Sika?
Hello, Jules. Thank you. Yes, at Sika we had always have been taken pride in not only providing market-leading products, but also combining that with first-class customer service and technical support. So in today's world, we have the opportunity to make that high-level support available anywhere at any times, thanks to digitalization. So we want to be where our customers are and to make sure we are always offering the very best customer service. So that's why one of the key elements of today is stay close to customers and provide best service as a team. And that's why we are here. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, René. So, Alban, can you get us a sense of what the chat is saying related to this question?
Yeah, so first trend is that we have most of the reply are mainly turned to improve the design of building and the inspection of construction projects. And we also have a suggestion from Nadav saying that it could be automation of tasks.
Interesting. Great. All right. Well, Alban, stay with us throughout this session. And if anything comes up in the chat, please interrupt me. Always great to get a sense of where our audience is. But to better understand this picture and to really try to understand what these technologies are bringing to the future of construction, I'm thrilled to welcome Max Schortenthaler and Kevin Delisi from respectively ABB and Google Cloud to really help us dive into these topics and try to understand, where what the state of the art is today and what might be possible in the years to come. Again, if you have questions for these two, please put them in the chat and we'll try to integrate them in the discussion. But for our first conversation, I am absolutely thrilled to welcome Max Schortenthaler, who leads ABB's cement industry efforts at ABB Process Industries. Welcome, Max. Can you hear me okay?
Absolutely. Hello to everyone.
All right. Good to see you.
Thank you.
So as I said, you oversee the global cement industry for ABB. Can you tell us how this industry has digitalized over the last 10, 15 years?
Well, actually, the cement industry specifically has already started quite a long time ago with digitalization. So many of the cement manufacturers have placed some tools in place where they have collected data from the cement production. They have collected data from the use of the cement, the consumption, but also the laboratory data is available in many ways. Sometimes you have data lakes available reaching a full decade or even more than that available at the companies. So all of this data, which has been collected over years and years, gives a lot of opportunity to optimize the overall process in the cement industry. The same applies to the rest of the ecosystem in the construction industry. So other participants in this ecosystem have also collected their portion of the data for their respective part. So there is exciting possibilities and opportunities around how to connect this together and bring additional benefit to the industry.
And maybe to rebound on that, so you talk about the broader construction ecosystem. Are there ways today to connect these different data from different players?
Well, the technology would generally be there. Where I see the biggest challenge is that you need to actually share data and to make the contextualization between the data of the different sources. And that's a challenge. Not every company is ready to share data with other participants. It already starts by utilizing the same cloud environment, maybe. So there is a lot of challenges going ahead, but I think, if you look at the potential benefits out of this, I think sooner or later we will see the industry moving in this direction.
All right, and we'll keep that question for Kevin as well, maybe on sharing the same cloud. But for now, Max, so this digitalization has happened to some extent, in your opinion. Can you tell us of some applications that this available data or these data lakes enable?
Yeah, I mean, from our side, we are currently working, for example, on a project to predict the strength of the cement during the process of manufacturing. So based on the data which has been collected over years and years in the manufacturing process, we can already predict during the actual process of the manufacturing of the cement what kind of strengths will come out of it. So basically predictive quality expectation of the end product. Another opportunity when it comes to digitalization or utilization of AI is, for example, cement companies have been utilizing some type of expert system. It's kind of the autopilot of the cement plant already many years back, 10 years and more even so. But the tools how to utilize them have changed. So if about 10 years ago we utilized fuzzy logic to implement these kind of autopilots, nowadays AI can help a lot to make the same and maintain and sustain the benefits of this much better because it can adapt to eventual changes in the overall process. So there is a trend towards having the operation more and more autonomous.
And can you give us a sense of kind of what is possible today and what might be possible in the next 5 to 10 years?
I think possible today is actually that you can, for example, run a plant already almost semi-autonomous, meaning that you have only limited intervention when it comes to maintenance operations and actual operation of the plants, as long as everything works well. When you have interruption, you still need the actual physical intervention of the people. But more and more, the more data is available and the more you can do prediction, you can really move towards actually having a plant running more and more independent and autonomous. And again, the same applies also for the construction ecosystem as such, where I see the trend that once this hindrance is gone away of sharing data and sharing information, I think in a time frame of 10 to 5 years, we will be having a lot of automated interaction between suppliers to the construction industries, the BIM itself, then also the actual construction works itself. So I think there will be a lot moving ahead in the future.
And in this context of the semi-autonomous plants or the increasingly autonomous plants, do you see a role for robotics, which is also part of today's title?
Yeah, absolutely. Robotics can take a good place in there when it comes also to automate the maintenance task, to automate inspections as such, for example. But then also, of course, in the actual construction environment as well, where there are plenty of possibilities like 3D printing, robotic printing of concrete in this area, which can help a lot to actually automate sometimes even dangerous works on a construction site.
And maybe your last question would be if you could give us an idea of those new technologies such as AI and robotics, how widely are they deployed today? And then what are some of the roadblocks to wider adoption?
I think when we look at AI, I think many companies are looking at it at the moment. So they're running trials with different participants and different companies and startups to figure out, what is needed to make a real benefit for a company out of it. So I think it's not yet that widely installed, but there is a clear understanding that most of the manufacturers and participants in this ecosystem are very interested in moving this ahead.
Got it. Well, thanks a lot, Max. I'll come back to you in a few minutes, but I'd like for now to turn to Kevin, our second guest. So Kevin Delisi leads the manufacturing practice for Google Cloud. We're thrilled to have you with us, Kevin. Can you hear me okay?
Hello, Jules. Hello, everybody.
All right. So you, or specifically, have a background in finance and tech, and more recently, you in the implementation of big data or AI projects in construction. Could you tell me why these kind of new sources of technology, such as AI, are key in the construction industry?
Yes, sure. Thank you for that question. So to build on what Max was saying, the construction industry has been capturing data for many years already. And you've probably heard the saying of data is the new oil. But if we continue that analogy, I like to use data as kind of crude oil, but not the finished product. So there's a big difference between capturing data and actually getting insights. And the industry has been very good in capturing the data, but not yet to the point of getting insights. And that's where AI algorithms and big data can really help and overcoming these challenges. What we're seeing right now is a lot of data is siloed and not that much is yet compiled on a group level.
I mean, that's a really interesting point, but for me, it begs a few examples. Could you maybe illustrate a little bit what you mean? Is it that different plants don't have necessarily the same types of data structure or reporting? How does that manifest itself?
Sure. So one example around predictive maintenance, it's been around for quite a while, and usually up to now, predictive maintenance has been done on a very local region, local basis. And when you have a large organization that is present in multiple regions, multiple countries, you're lacking that scale when you're doing some predictive maintenance just locally. So it's about capturing the data from the OT, bringing it into the IT, and deploying models at scales. Obviously, within an organization, you'll have plans of varying ages, varying technologies, but you can use models, you can use transfer learning from models to have some kind of a basis to apply this at scale. Another example would be around inventory management. So you want to keep your working capital as good as possible, and finding efficiencies in inventory management has been a big focus of the construction industry. So typically, if you're looking at building material companies, you're looking at an inventory turnover ratio of about 10. But you've seen organizations that are applying already big data and AI models that are seeing that ratio going up to 14. So really improving that working capital. So avoiding having too much unfinished goods on the construction sites, or having supplies for your machines in your plants to turn, to have these which are too numerous on site, and really streamline the whole process.
So maybe same question than Max then. Could you give us a sense in terms of some of the projects you're involved in, I guess with the data as it stands today, what is possible today? And then if we get beyond some of those roadblocks, what might be possible in the next 5 to 10 years?
Actually, thanks, Kevin, for bringing this up. If we look at predictive maintenance, there is plenty of data available coming from the different machineries and equipments at different sites, whether it's at the cement manufacturing plant or at the construction site as well, if we look at the heavy machineries. So there is a lot of data there collected already. So this data already today can be used and is used also to perform predictive maintenance based on condition monitoring of the specific items. What we see for the future maybe is that this predictive maintenance goes beyond just, predicting the time when you need to carry out the maintenance, but rather already send an order to the respective sub-supplier to provide the necessary spare part in time before anything is happening. So it's really the work to allow hand-in-hand collaboration between the different parties working in the same ecosystem. I think that's where we see a lot going to happen over the next few years, actually.
Kevin, would you agree with that? And in your vision, what are some of things that can be done today and things that could be done in the future?
Yes, absolutely. So here, listening to the questions from the audience, one big area of interest is visual inspection, and that's one of the projects I've been working on. So when you're doing visual inspection of a building, there's already very modern ways to do this with using drones instead of people to avoid health and safety issues. But you come up with issues like, what is a crack? What is defined as a crack? If you ask one person, it might be a completely different answer for another person. And so using basically models on the edge, so you could have an AI model that is running, physically on the drone, and have some kind of standard across geographies, across countries, and have some sort of standard definition. What is a crack to be concerned about, and what is just, something which can be ignored, if you wish. So these are type of projects which are really possible nowadays. And this is in collaboration, obviously, with hyperscalers, where you can collect a lot of data, and the construction companies.
And projecting to kind of 5 to 10 years, any thoughts as to what might be possible?
So the big challenge coming up for the next 5 to 10 years is this integration of OT with IT. So far, we see lots of organizations that have kind of siloed IT and OT. And for the OT part, any change is difficult because these are usually very specific hardware and software components. And as Max mentioned, sometimes getting that data out is not always easy, and change is sometimes faced with some resistance. But you see organizations that are really integrating the OT with IT are having great success, and that's going to be the big challenge for the 5 to 10 years to come.
Got it. Maybe a last question to you would be, could you help us understand what is Google's role in this ecosystem and in these projects?
So at Google, we really accompany organization through their digital transformation. And to give you some examples, it goes from sharing best practices, so which is on some really IT focused level. So sharing how our site reliability engineers work. They maintain, for instance, websites like Google.com, YouTube, and making sure they don't go down, and looking at all the different scenarios to make sure that SLA is as high as possible. To really co-developing solutions between Google engineers and the engineers from an organization to come up with a custom solution. That's kind of the breadth of the scope.
Got it. So I'll finish maybe with one question that goes to both of you. We're going to hear from 4 really impressive companies in a few minutes, but I'd first like to hear you on in this kind of future world that is dominated by data, AI, in some cases robotics. What is the role for early stage companies and startups? What can they do that larger groups can't in this field? I don't know, Max, if you want to take it first.
I mean, I think these kind of startup companies are extremely important in order to really push the technology ahead. I think the big advantage of any startup company is that they're flexible, they're creative, they can really push invention forward. And that's maybe something that the larger established companies maybe lack a little bit when it comes to the flexibility. Of course, there are also challenges connected with being a startup. Usually, you're a rather smaller company, and you have a limited reach to the global industry. But with the support in a forum like this one, I think that's really exciting.
Yeah, to build on that, I mean, there's a real dynamic going on between startups and large organizations. On the one hand, startups are nimble, as you mentioned, Max. They can change the course of their strategy really quickly, and they can jumpstart innovation at large corporations. On the other side, when they acquire logos from large corporations, that can really jumpstart their revenue on the startup side. So it's both have a lot to benefit from the other.
All right. So we'll come back to some more questions during the Q&A session, I'd say in about 20 minutes. But for now, I'd like to thank you both for joining us.